There are silent heroes among us. We see them every day. We see them on our way to work, at the grocery store, at the gym. They could be our neighbors, our colleagues, our friends, our parents. These are the people that have lived lives we know very little about, that have overcome challenges and obstacles we couldn't even imagine, and have learned great lessons through their struggles that, when shared, have the power of changing other people's lives and ultimately bringing us all closer together. Collective Conversations, Everyday Heroes, Extraordinary Stories is an opportunity for us to hear those stories from those silent heroes. Hello and welcome to Collective Conversations, Everyday Heroes, Extraordinary Stories. My name is Joseph Nicholas Massey. I am your host. But more importantly, our next guest is Bob Makela. Not only is Bob a very dear friend, Bob is also the epitome of an artist. And I am always so inspired when I'm with him, when I talk with him. He just lives truly like an artist from his heart, genuine. He has this tremendous sense of trust, and his story is pretty extraordinary. He's really experienced the gamut of all that can happen in a life, with great success, also a lot of great loss, tragedy, trauma, and truly his life has been a tremendous adventure. And so I'm really excited for you to hear his story. And again, just being reminded of what's possible when we follow our hearts and believe in something bigger than ourselves. So sit back, enjoy, and I'll see you next time. We can launch right in, man.
Beautiful. Well, you're one of my favorite people to talk to, so I'm glad we're doing this. And thanks for initiating,
Listen,
making it happen.
you know what? I was going to say, do you really mean that? Because
I
that
really do mean that, yes. And on my end, unfortunately, not fortunately or unfortunately, there's a lot of people I've had some fantastic conversations with over the years, and anytime I tell anyone that, it's completely genuine. And I've had people say, "Oh, you talk to so many people, but you don't really mean that. I'm just one of hundreds." I'm like, well, maybe, but it can be extremely powerful and important to me, regardless of
Yeah.
how many of the numbers that I've accumulated over the years. There's still plenty of people, a smaller group of people that are, extra special to talk to, insightful.
The reason why I had to ask that is because I hold you in such high regard.
Well, thank you. I'm not sure why, but thank you.
Well, I will explain. I will explain. It's very clear to me. The way that you live, you live like an artist, like a true artist, and God knows that that's not always an easy life, and yet you have such faith. Like you've never abandoned your art. It's always been a part of your life, and anytime I'm around you, you're not like stressing out, and I'm not saying you don't have stress and you don't have but there is this undercurrent of faith that you have that it's all going to work out. And I find that's usually hard earned, and I know enough about you. And as I keep learning more about you, but you've had some like life-changing, significant, traumatic events in your life that I think have and maybe I don't like to use this term because it's not like it's a positive thing, but they have honed
Hmm.
your sense of faith, and like who you are. And
Yeah.
it just comes out of you in everything you do. I love the way you take on projects.
Whether I'm going to finish them or not. Yeah, I
Well,
know.
I was just gonna say, you take your time with them and listen, you're look, there are some people who say 1,000 things and they never get anything done, and, God bless them and everything, but that's not you, because think about you get commissioned, right? You are paid to complete projects, so it's not that you're not someone, and
Right.
that's within your art form too.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's easy to, from the other side, it's always easy to go, well, I could have done this, I should have done that. I could have more of this, more of that. And for many years, that was my that was the underlying mindset. And man, when, you get to be this age, I'll be 65 in June. I double bypass surgery 2 years ago. And all that way of thinking is just so, I'm not saying it doesn't still creep in there from time to time, but my baseline now is, um, like you say, but what's supposed to happen will happen, and I have control over a certain result. That's on me. So wherever I am in life or where I'm not in life, that's as a result of my choices, and no one's to blame but me. And accept your choices, and hopefully learn from them and continue to get better. That's where I am. And I just pulled out. It's so funny you talk about taking on new projects. I mean, I'm constantly like, oh, I want to do this and do this, but what about this that you haven't finished yet? Well, yeah, I can do that too. So, like, I just pulled out a book. I got this book of I wanted to do a poem a day 2 years ago, and so I started writing a poem. I got a lot of January 1st entries over the years. Not a ton of. I can do a documentary on my January first week or two of January projects that I've
10 years.
started. I'm sure that's the case for many people, but just looking at this just made me go. I'm like feeling some of the same things this January, 2 years, 3 years, 2 years later. Yeah, I just started writing a poem a day again because last year I barely wrote because I had this year of I was teaching second grade and teaching music, and so I did a lot less like introspection and journaling and writing poems and a lot more living, getting up at the crack of dawn, being exhausted when I got home from school, and just wanting to chill and know that whatever creative endeavor I'm got going, want to do, I will get to it in time. But right now, I'm trying to put myself into this teaching situation and give that my all as much as I can, and see where that leads creatively. And that did lead to some interesting directions. So for me, it's just like don't beat yourself up over what you haven't done. Recognize what you have done. I'm started writing. Because I did the 5 month block of teaching. I'm trying to break my day down into little 1 hour chunks, just like when I was in school. So at 7:35, there was no choice. I had to be ready to accept 20 to 30, kindergartners or fifth graders. There was no ifs, ands, or but. You better be ready. It's happening. So you better be ready for it. So I'm trying to adopt that mindset in my home office when I'm alone and getting up in the morning and working in 1 hour chunks. And I'm trying to, I want to publish, start, finishing writing projects. So I'm writing 13 essays that I'm going to put into a book, and I wrote my intro. I've designed the cover. I'm writing my first story. I've got a list of the ones I want to write, and I'm just trying to every day 1 hour chunks of writing. Do it. See how that works. So and it's it's challenging, man. And then I'm trying to do a poem a day and a journal a day. And my poem today the title was distractions, etc. And the first line is, help me. I am a sucker for all the world is offering up right now. Instagram Reels, Facebook comment threads. My curiosity is my superpower and my kryptonite. It's challenging times, man. But
Yeah, I like how you nailed that
fascinating.
down. I mean, it is. It's your curious nature. You want to know. You want to learn. You're drawn into that, and that, and so it sounds like what you learned as a teacher is structure and how to bring that into your life when you're not teaching.
Self-created structure has not always been my strong suit, and I'm trying to apply what I just was forced into my life here. It's tough, man. Like, I'm always like, hey, can you help me do dishes? Like, I might get my 1 hour writing block right now. But yeah, I'll help you with the dishes. I got some, you got to be here tomorrow. We're gonna washer and dryer deliver. Can we have a quick meeting about that? Well, I guess so. It's these are these are nice problems to have. I don't want to be complaining, but everybody's
Yeah.
got their challenges, and it's how you face them, how you deal with them, and being honest, trying to be honest with yourself, and carry on. Be kind.
Yes. Yes. That's another thing that I hold you in high regard for. You're a very kind soul. You are. You're just it's just part of your DNA.
Well,
And that's
I think I you strike me as a kind person too, and I think a lot of it is when you grow up witnessing other people suffering, when you grow up suffering yourself, when you suffer in silence, when you retreat into a shell because you're afraid or because you're not confident, you tend to watch what's happening around you. And for me, it built empathy. It built me, it made me feel for the people that were struggling, like, because I know what it's like to be the kid that no one's talking to at lunch. I know what it's like to be the kid with no friends, the kid that is having a tough time at home. All that stuff, I feel like I've been in the shoes of so many. And if I haven't experienced it myself, I've listened or I've witnessed people who have had those kinds of experiences. If I haven't witnessed it, I've heard people tell me their stories firsthand. So when you hear it, or when you witness it, or when you've experienced it, I don't know how that doesn't build empathy for you. If you're paying attention, it's a gift to be able to feel things that people are going through. And if you don't have it, we're seeing what happens when the people at the top don't have it, when the people that are guiding our culture don't have it. And when you have it, you feel for other people, and you want to help, you want to listen, you want to find solutions, and it's powerful to be that person for another person. I just got done teaching, and I got all these notes and cards and gifts from these kids, and man, the things they wrote me and told me, it's just been overwhelming. Just I love that about kids, is that they're honest with their feelings when you allow it, when they feel safe, and when they feel like you see them. And I tried my best. I mean, it's hard to see 600 plus kids in an hour block of time, but when you do have that connection, it is just, yeah. Again, that's why whatever you sense from me, it's like I've had so many experiences where just little moments with people, young people, old people, just being the person that listens to people and encourages people and wants the best in people, and sees the best in people from the get go, and then you see the best in somebody from the first second you meet them, and they're going to present. They're going to want to be that person 9 times out of 10. So I feel like I've gotten the best of people throughout my life, man. I feel like I got a guardian angel because the kind of things I've done, the lifestyle I've led, should have been dead multiple times, man. I've never been jumped. I've never been beaten. I've never been. I mean, so many horrible things that could happen to me in the situations I've been in, and for whatever reason, man, I'm hopefully I'm going to make it to retirement age and keep on not retiring. do my do my thing.
Well, that's the life of an artist, right? You don't truly retire if I don't think. I don't think.
To even say you're an artist, though, to me, I didn't grow up around. I grew up, my dad's an accountant, was a CPA. My mom's a high school dropout with low self esteem and a big heart, and so I mean, I've taken incremental steps to even say, hey, I think I want to try to write. Oh, somebody's paying me to write these things. Okay, I guess I'm a writer, but to fully embrace it, it sounds pretentious. It doesn't, but that's what I'm drawn to. That lifestyle, way of thinking, that way of living. Because there's a financial component to being an artist. Been the struggle for me. So how can you be an artist when, you're a freaking long-term substitute teacher at a elementary school in a small town in Elgin? Are you an artist? Or some guy that's been paid to write some magazine articles and try to make a movie and been paid to write some screenplays years ago. I don't know, but I know what I feel, and I know what I'm capable of, and I think we're all artists if you're honest with yourself and you're open to it. Really,
Yeah. No, I agree. I think you're right. We all are creative, right? At our nature, for sure.
especially parents, man. You bring a kid in the world. It's like the ultimate creation. You've created something with somebody else. It's the ultimate collaboration. Now you're collaborating with your town, your community, your country, your planet, raising this creation of yours.
Yeah,
Got to be super gratifying.
for sure. For sure. So can we talk a little bit about you talked a little bit about how you grew up and what you've seen and
Yeah.
understanding that empathy started, developing from an early age.
Mm-hmm.
What As I mentioned, the theme here is the hero's journey, and the concept there, and you're no stranger to the concept as a storyteller and a writer, is that everything in life doesn't happen to us. It's even as painful and difficult as life can be in these events, that they're forming us. And when you look back at your life, take us back early. What were some of the most formative events, phases in your life that have really guided you and shaped you into who
Good
you are?
question. Good question. That's a lot. Well, so my mom was a 16-year-old virgin the night she got pregnant with me. My dad was 22, so I hate to use the
Hey,
word,
we're
but
off to a good start.
that's illegal. That's illegal. Call that whatever you want to call it, but there's words for that, but I'm not going to use those words. But and my dad grew up with a stutter, and he's the oldest of five kids, and was bullied a lot, so he had a temper. And a year later, after I was born, 14 months later, my brother was born, and and then my parents were divorced when I was 6, and my mom a year later remarried a Vietnam vet, a guy that was I don't know, 2 or 3 months back from Vietnam. He'd been there for 2 years, full PTSD. Had a temper. Was a construction worker. Dropped a lot of N bombs. I remember he always used to like flip the bird. He was famous for like, you know, flipping people off. He thought it was funny. So there's all these pictures of him just flipping people off. And now when I saw a picture of my brother-in-law yesterday, he sent me a picture where he's flipping me off. And like that just reminds me, just completely brought me back to
Oh,
growing
geez.
up. My stepdad. So he was my stepdad for 10 years. My mom got pregnant with my sister Jill in '69. So they insisted we call him Dad, even though he wasn't. My dad was picking us up every other weekend and was very good about being responsible, paying child support, and seeing us every other weekend. And that's all through growing up. That was the case. So my mom marrying that guy was a big pivot point for me because he had a temper. He took a lot of his frustration out on me. I lived a lot of my growing up years afraid of this guy, afraid of him, his temper, afraid of him reacting physically. And I was a smart, sensitive kid. I got good, but we were moving a lot. We moved after first grade, so I was the new kid in second grade. Then we moved again in third grade. After second grade, so from third to sixth was longest stint anywhere, and that was some good years. But still, this guy he ran hot and cold. He was my little league teacher our coach for a while, and he was the guy that I was terrified to tell that I lost my brand new construction boots. I left them at school and they're lost, and was terrified that he was going to just whatever when he found out. So a lot of that was my foundation was fear, not being heard, not speaking up, nurturing my young mom, who was a child herself, and she grew up with an abusive, alcoholic dad, not physically abusive. She had been molested when she was young, so she had a lot of trauma and insecurities, but big heart, kind, funny, still around. I talked to her yesterday. Yeah, she's on her third husband. She's been married to husband number 3 for over 40 years. So that was a big impact on growing up, was living under the same roof as this guy, Sergeant Stepdad, we'll call him. And in high school, I think it was my junior year, he ended up leaving her for another woman, and he's still with that woman. So, but I was, I was fearful, not super self-confident growing up. And not to blame him, blame anybody, but that was the that was the result of living under those circumstances. But I had my mom was awesome, and my dad married a good woman who he's still married to. And he married his next door neighbor. She had a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old little girls. And in 1970, they were 3 and 2 when they got married. And basically, he adopted them. They took they took his last name, and they're, for all intents and purposes, my sisters, because that's who I grew up with. And so those 2 girls, and my dad and stepmom had 2 girls, Julie and Jenny. Jenny's birthday was yesterday. I had a nice FaceTime call with her yesterday. Happy birthday, Jenny. Julie is awesome. So, and then Jill is from the sergeant's stepdad. She lives in Virginia. She's got an awesome husband, Todd. So, and then my mom's third husband, she had a child with her third husband, Katie. So I've got 6 sisters from 2 moms, 3 dads. Yeah. And I'm the oldest. So, yeah. And then, so Tracy was the 3-year-old that from my dad's new wife, his second wife. Tracy and I were close growing up. We were both Geminis. both love. She was a huge sports fan, great athlete, played on my co-ed softball team in LA. She ended up was in a car accident when 10 days before her 30th birthday. She was with one of my best friends from high school. They were dating at the time. We're in a car together, right in the back seat with some guys they just met that day. Guy went around a curve too fast. The car rolled. She didn't have the seatbelt on, and she was paralyzed from the neck down. Basically, broke her neck in 4 places, and everybody else was fine, but she was, and ended up committing suicide 3 years later. So you talk about impact, big impacts. I was impacted in a big way, living under the same roof as my stepdad, and then 30 years later, I was 30. It happened in '98. I'd been contracted to write a memoir about me bar hopping around America for 100 days in a row, and I was supposed to talk to people about love and marriage and commitment. And by the time I got 100 consecutive days in my VW bus, ended up going to about 164 bars over the course of 100 days, from LA to Key West to Maine to Seattle into Vancouver, down the coast. Went a lot of places in the midst of working on that book, which was a monster for me. My sister had her accident, so that was a big pivot in my life because she ended up killing herself 3 years later. And so I just had this kind of mindset where you never know what'll happen, and there's, I want to live my life for today. Wasn't really thinking long term at that point, and I ended up breaking up got out of a 7-year relationship in LA. Was living with my girlfriend. We broke up. I sold all my stuff, and and this is a year and a half after my sister committed suicide. I decided to take a road trip around America. Since I was breaking up with my girlfriend, move out of my place, sold all my stuff, and took this trip. Started a blog called The Greatest Year of My Life, and was taking pictures with my new digital camera. This is in 2003, when not everybody had a camera at the ready and nobody was blogging. And so I did a lot of oversharing and learning what the parameters of sharing yourself on the internet was all about. This is pre-Facebook, pre-Instagram, all this stuff. It was just like, oh, this is interesting. I could take a picture and then a minute later it's on the internet, and I can write anything I want and share it with people. So I did that for 2 years, and in the course of that trip is when I met Molly. So I took that trip because of what happened with my sister, I think, and because got out of that relationship, and I always wanted to just have this open-ended trip around America. I ended up finding a couple of sponsors, a couple of guys I went to college with. I told them I wanted to find a corporate sponsor, and I wanted to write about volunteering and doing a good deed once a week and writing about it, or volunteering somewhere. So anyway, I got funded. So I did this on somebody. I got paid to do it for almost 2 years, which is pretty nice. So
and where does that live anywhere now? All that the recording of that trip.
I have the domain, but I had originally my brother, one of my brother-in-laws, built me a custom domain, a custom site. It didn't go through Blogger or any of the other. There was only a handful of blogging sites at the time, so I had all my content on a custom built site, basically. And then so he shut down, he pulled his server. I got all my info base. So basically, it lives on a hard drive. And I still have it's greatestyearofmylife.com, and there's a handful of my posts from then back on there. But I do want to do something because I wrote a lot, and it wasn't really interesting time to be on the road. Yeah. And then at the end of that, when that all went down, I got so basically I didn't have that money coming in. I needed to find work, and I got my friend's next door neighbor knew of this farm up in British Columbia, had a farm that he needed. He needed a caretaker for the winter time. So this is in December, and my stipend was running out at the end of December. So I basically got paid to. I drove my VW van up to this little island outside of Vancouver and lived on the farm for from December to March. Fed the cats, collected the chicken. They had 26 chickens. Collected the chicken eggs, took them into town, made sure that it was a 6-acre farm, organic farm, and B&B. So it had like 6 units on it on the working farm that had people can come and stay and watch how farming works, and it's really cool. So I did that through March, and then I went back to LA, and then the farmer reached out to me and said, "You want to come back and actually work on the farm, be my farm hand?" So I did that. So I went back. And so from June to October, I went back, met a girl in the field, had a wonderful little 4 or 5 month thing. And had one the first go around with another local girl. So this was my transition from end of my 7.5 year relationship. I'm the weirdo in a van now, and then I was the weirdo American in the van in Canada, and ended up meeting some really cool people. And the first girl I met, we met at the only bar in town, and then we left the bar and had to talk deep into the night. And she asked me my name. I told her my name is Bob. And she's like, "God, you do not look like a Bob. You don't strike me as a Bob. I'm going to have to call you something else." And she ends up calling me Zed. And so for the next 6, 7, 8 months, most of the people on Salt Spring Island knew me as Zed. I was Zed.
Zed. Wow.
There's people up there that just don't even know my real name is Bob. They just know me as Zed. Yeah.
That's
So yeah, that
fun.
was a chapter, man. So I've had chapters that to me are like little movies, little novels. Like a little something is happening here. I'm not doing any long-term planning. Clearly, I'm not thinking about my career, my future. I'm thinking, God, it might be fun to actually work on a farm. Let's see how that works. And the farmer that I lived with and worked for, he was well known in the farming community. He'd written 3 books. His first book, Alice Waters, this famous chef at this famous restaurant out in Berkeley, wrote the foreword to his first book, and he was working on his 3rd book while I was staying there. And so I got to learn about farming and farming concepts by this freaking, well-known farmer / writer dude. So it was fascinating. I got to learn about Canadian culture and Canadian people, and I stayed in a little A-frame 8x10 wooden shack was my living quarters for the second go around. And the girl I dated worked on a berry farm, drove a motorcycle, played guitar, and I mean it was just this magical little time in my life that like, did that really happen? Yeah, I guess it did. And I came back here and didn't have anywhere to go. I was going to stay with my sister for a few months, and my plan was to go teach English in somewhere in Asia. And my sister Jill was living 2 hours south of LA in this remote town that I had no interest in living in, and she's like, "Stay here and for a couple months while you figure out what you're going to do." She's got 3 kids, and they were in Little League and softball, and the youngest was 4, the oldest was I think 11, Hannah was 11, Noah was 10, and Jack was 4, I think. So, and I had my own room, and that's where I was living when I met Molly. Like this freaking loser living with his sister, and in the spare bedroom. Signed up to be a substitute teacher in the local school district, and my 2 month stay ended up like, I love this family. I love being part of my nephews and niece's life. I show up to the school and I'm a freaking rock star. The kids all know who I am. They see me in the hall. They realize I'm going to be their sub for the day, and they start screaming and dancing, and I'm just I'm that guy at all the schools I go to, and I'm getting to go to my nephew's little league games, and my niece's softball games, and those the two oldest, the niece and the nephew. The niece ended up getting a full ride to play softball at University of Maryland. So she played on ESPN. She was on TV, and she did awesome. And Noah, the boy, they ended up moving back east to watch her softball career continue at Maryland. The boy, Noah, ended up playing the lacrosse finals his first year at his new school. I just did last 2 or 3 years, I did both of their weddings, officiated both of their weddings. So I had this 2 or 3 year chunk of time where I'm like, okay, I'm a loser living with my sister, but I love this family. I love being around these kids. I actually love being in this town and getting to know the kids of these different schools and going to football games and basketball games. And so and then, my plan to go teach English in Asia was put on hold just because I enjoyed being with this family. And then I meet this girl, Molly, who is apparently okay with dating some loser, staying with his sister, and is willing to take the 2 hour drive from LA to come and see me. So that was the beginning of our relationship. That was the context of, like, God love her for looking past all the red flags and
How did you meet?
on my
How did you
ledger.
meet? How did you meet?
How did I meet Molly? Okay. Well, I'll give you the unabridged version. My phone is down to 20%. I met Molly. So in the midst of this traveling around America trip, a year into it, I had I had two friends living in Austin. This couple lived in North Austin, and then a girl from LA who used to cut my hair was living in South Austin. So they both said, yeah, you can crash the couple in North Austin. We got a spare bedroom you can stay in. The hair stylist girl, yeah, you can crash on my couch. So I had two places to stay. I was going to be in Austin for 2 or 3 days. I'd only been here one day, one night in my bar hopping across America journey. I had one super memorable night in Austin and then kept going. So, and I heard how great Austin was. So, yeah, I got two places I can stay in Austin. I'm going to go to Austin. So, I end up going to Austin. 2 or 3 days into it, the couple takes me to a show downtown, Town Lake. We're at the concert. There's a girl with her blanket next to us. She looks like she's alone. I'm going to get a beer. You want a beer? Sure. Yeah, I get her a beer. We start talking. Ended up hanging out. My friends go back to their place. I end up hanging out with this girl for the rest of the evening. And my 2 or 3 day in Austin turns into about a 2 month stay in Austin because I end up hanging out with this art teacher from Elgin. Cut to 20 years later, I'm an art teacher in Elgin. But this art teacher in Elgin, this is how and the girl who I'm staying with, whose couch I'm sleeping in, her roommate is dating a guy who lives in Elgin. That's the first time I even heard of Elgin. He's like raving about this Elgin place. There's all these artists out there. It's amazing. You got to check it out. All right. 2 days later, I meet an art teacher from Elgin. Like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, well, so we end up hanging out. I stay at her place a bunch. I'm just going back and forth between her place, my friends, the couples. She's got to go to work. Long story short, she knows I'm nobody's candidate to be a boyfriend. So I'm, I eventually go on my way, and she's cool. She says she's cool with it. And then she drives up to Dallas and hangs out with me up there. I got a friend who's offered me her her cottage in Wisconsin. She flies up there to meet me up there. We hang out there for a week, go to game 3 of the Pistons Lakers finals in 2004. Compliments of Jeannie Buss, the owner of the Lakers. And then I drive back. We drive back to the cottage. She flies back home. Eventually, winding my way back through LA, and she's like, "I'll come meet you in LA. My friend just moved to LA." When I get through LA, she flies out to meet me, and she takes me to her friend's apartment one night, and the three of us make dinner and go see Napoleon Dynamite. And that friend was my wife, Molly. So I met my wife through one of her best friends from growing up, Angela. So 2 years I so Molly had just moved to LA, didn't know hardly anybody, and so I'm like, "Oh, well, give me your number. I know people. My friend's having a party in a couple of weeks, so I'll invite you to the party." So she ended up cutting my hair for a couple of years. We were friends. She introduced me. She was just, she's Molly. She's fascinating and she's great, and turned me on to the Power of Now. Is a big transformational book. That was a good one. And then she invited me to a New Year's Eve party, and we went, and been together ever since. That was 2007. So we're coming up on 19 years. 19 years.
That's awesome. So, all right, since we're talking about how people met, now I want to talk about how you and I met. Okay.
Good. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to give some context here and take us back. Now, I knew Molly because Molly was also cutting my hair. And to this day, I have not found anyone who cuts hair better than Molly. And I've been many places. She is the best. Aside from being a phenomenal human being, she's just brilliant, brilliant. Anyway, so we became friends, and as I was one of her clients, and then in an unrelated event, this is probably a couple of years after that I was already friendly with Molly. We may have met a few times, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the real
No,
thing that
you and I have not met. You and I had
we,
not met.
we did not meet yet
We
at
had
this
not
point.
met. No. When she showed me
Okay.
that video, I had never met you.
Okay. All right. So you see this video. I am compelled. I don't know what was going on, but I was called, compelled. I always had this impulse because I'm from New York, live in New York City, riding the subways, and I was always had such respect and admiration for the people that would just get up and start singing, singing on the subway or reciting poetry or playing the guitar. I was like, that is just the cool. They just get up and they do it. I was like, and I felt like I wanted to do that. I didn't know what I wanted to sing. I didn't know what I was like, I just want to do that. Why? Because it scares the heck out of me. So it happened to be one day I told a friend and she held me to it. We went down on the subway. I went into the subway car. I asked her to record it, to video record it, and I sang This Little Light of. I said I walk onto the. I don't know if this is in the recording. I guess it must have been. But I walk onto the subway and I'm like, "Excuse me, everyone. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just doing this thing that's always really scared me, and so I'm going to just sing a little song. And if you want to join in, that's great." And I broke out into This Little Light of Mine. Nobody sang with me at all. It was just me. I was amazed at how many people did not even look at me, even when I gave the intro. Like, that's what I love about New York City. Like, this stuff happens all the time. People don't even care. So I do it. I'm done. And this one guy looks at me. He's like, "That's cool, man. You keep doing your thing." and then I walked off. Now, I posted this on Facebook because I was on this kind of campaign of every day you should do one thing that scares you. And that was my day. 2 weeks later, maybe less, I don't remember the time exactly, I get a call from you that you saw the video, and then I'll let you take it from there. I'm
Well,
curious
Molly
if you
showed me the video. Check out my
okay.
friend Joe. Oh, okay. And I forget where I was in the writing process, but I thought, man, I'm like, okay, I'm going to just completely rip this idea off and jam it into my screenplay. The beauty is that once I took that idea of you and my character doing that on the thing, then I gave him a backstory, not knowing really much about you at all, other than you had been an actor and Molly knew you from the acting world in the '90s. This is a good, but 30 years later. But 30 years later, I'm writing the script, and I'm like, okay, 20 years later, 25 years later. Yeah, so apparently it was very similar to your story. And so you were the perfect guy to play this character. And you nailed it. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. You guys were so good together, and it was so natural, I thought.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Yeah,
And
so we met through the video, and then you hired me as an actor in Green Thumbs.
yeah, so, and originally it was going to be a TV show, so it was going to do, I wrote 4 half-hour episodes, and now it's a 84-minute film. Um, yeah, you were great. So thank you for doing that, for one thing.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
And
And
your
I wanna
character
talk a
is
little
so, what to me, I'm so happy that you're the guy that's delivering those lines. Your character is, you're in it for one scene. You're a guy that the main character meets on the subway, and she's pitching her new brilliant idea, and your character is the voice that I need to hear to keep me going, because it's really easy to go, this is a stupid idea. No one's ever going to want to see this. But the words that your character says, it's really the fuel to keep me continuing on to finish this thing, get across the finish line. Because I do think there's some important ideas in there that you're expressing. Basically, you're
yeah.
laying out the theme of the show in a 3-minute scene monologue.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I didn't realize it had that significance for you.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's amazing. And so do you wanna talk a little bit about what inspired Green Thumbs?
sure, yeah. Well, back then, man, it's like I told you before. Sadly, or maybe to our great fortune, sat on this so long that it's now a period piece. I wrote it in 2016, I think. Shot the first round in October 2017. Shot another round for a couple days in May of 2018. But so we're in 2026 now. Yeah. So it took place in real time back then, and now it's a period piece about what happened during the first few months of Trump 1.0. So yeah, I was inspired by. I guess I was inspired by that for sure. There's a few things that I was inspired by. We had just moved to New York City from Austin. Just got married, and so I was loving New York. Had wanted to live in New York City my whole life. Grew up in the suburbs of LA, and New York was always this magical, special place for me. And so to be able to live there was huge. But and I just love riding the subway. And I assume that other people on the subway were just giddy to talk to strangers like me, and they really aren't. But I tried anyway. So I just had this idea, like there's people. I would guess that a certain percentage of the people on the subway right now would be more than happy to talk to a stranger. But nobody knows how to break the ice, how to not come off like a weirdo trying to get it going. So that was the genesis of the Green Thumbs idea. I think it's like, how can we get people? How can I get people talking to me on the subway? And then it was a combination of that. It was a combination of me having this weird screenwriting career where I've been paid multiple times to write screenplays for different producers, and I've had scripts quote unquote greenlit, which means they're getting made only to do a U-turn at various junctures. So I was getting to be an old guy with no movie credits, even though I'd written, many screenplays and been paid to write many screenplays. So I wanted to make. I figured I have to make a movie, and then that coincided with my nephew, who I had hooked up, introduced to a friend of mine, producer friend of mine in L.A., and she ended up getting him on a 3-year dream come true documentary project for HBO, and that was wrapping up, and he had just bought an $80,000 high end nice movie camera, the camera they shot The Revenant on with DiCaprio. So he had the camera, I had the idea. I'm not saying he owed me one, but my nephew, he had a he got a sweet hookup on that job. He didn't have a job, so I said, let's do this. And I was sending him the script. He was into it. And then a couple other things. The opening credits song by Bob Schneider, "The World Exploded into Love," is a song I love. And I love the idea of the world exploding into love. And this idea was a way to get the world exploding into love and empathy and connect. So we had the opening credits song. We had the idea. We had the camera. We had my desire to talk to strangers on the subway, and then I heard this horrible story about a girl that I knew. I knew her when she was younger, and I knew her for a few years when she was younger, and she was molested as a child by her grandfather while we were in Brooklyn. Who I must have been, it was, I don't know, 15, 20 years later, after I knew her, she ended up committing suicide. And when I heard the news that she had done that, I just was, I mean, felt horrible for her, the family, and having been around her when the molesting was happening, I just really impacted me. I felt just so terrible for this little girl. And so that was partly went into my thinking also of like, how can we help people in her situation? How can we help people who are suffering in silence? I doubt her family knew how bad the suffering was, but maybe they did. But maybe nothing could have been done. But my thinking was that, well, maybe something could be done collectively to help people who are suffering, people who feel like they don't have anyone to reach out to. And maybe it's asinine and foolish to think that a complete stranger talking to somebody on a subway or at a coffee shop or at a bus stop could impact somebody else. But I think it's possible. The hit rate might be low, but I don't think it's impossible.
You know
And
what would
I've
be
seen it
cool?
happen.
You know what would be cool? I don't know how we would do this, but to have some way like a a place for people. I mean, this is a little bit what I'm trying to achieve on the podcast, but if people could share their stories of how a total stranger changed their
Mm.
life, like
Ooh,
a conversation, how
yeah.
it changed their life. I had a guest on here. She was abusing alcohol and not things were just not going well for her. And she went to McDonald's one night and she met this girl there. And the girl just kind of randomly came up to her and said, they just started talking, getting to know each other. And then the girl said, would you happen to know of any AA meetings in the area? I'm trying to find some help. And the guest that I had on didn't know, but she said she would help her find one. Well, that led her to going into AA. And from that moment on, she was in recovery. So it's like this
Wow.
random
Yeah.
visit, and someone had the interest to start a conversation, led to someone's life getting turned around. So
Amazing.
I wonder how many, and it just always reminds me of that line from Streetcar Named Desire. I've I've always counted on the kindness of strangers, that Blanche
Yeah.
Dubois says that,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's like amazing what even a smile can do, or one kind word. I have a feeling there are more people's lives have been changed from that than we would think. I would love to
Oh,
hear more of those.
oh,
I
for
bet you
sure.
have. I mean, think about what your whole
Yeah.
journey.
Well,
I mean, you
mine
met
is
all
like
those people.
mine. I feel like mine is the accumulation of a lot of small moments of kindness, of just people being good to me. I mean, I think I've told you, because I didn't travel much growing up, I was really eager to travel when I could. So when I was in my the summer between my junior and senior year, I took a Greyhound bus from LA to New York City. It's the first time I'd been east of Vegas. And then 2 years later, I got one of these services where you can drive somebody's car to where they need it dropped off. So me and my buddy drove a car from LA to New York, took a bus to Boston, and I hitchhiked back from Boston to LA. Got home in 33 rides. And so that was like, okay, nothing bad
Yeah, so
happened. People kind
that
to
goes
me.
back. Yeah, that goes back to your comment of how maybe you shouldn't be alive today because of putting yourself
That,
hitchhiking.
yeah. Oh, so yeah, I'm just stupidly thinking, oh, I'm bulletproof. Nothing bad's going to happen to me. So 2 summers later, I got a mountain bike and rode my mountain bike from LA to Boston, and no helmet, and had at least a dozen complete strangers take me into their homes. Asked me what I saw what I was doing, asked me what I was doing, and invited me into their homes and fed me, let me shower, and yeah, from like 70-year-old man in Wheeling, West Virginia, to some teenage girl in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, to this Mormon family in the middle of Utah saw me riding up a hill, pulled over, offered me some water, said, "Hey, throw your bike in the trunk. We'll feed you, and you can get a shower and got a spare bed." I mean, just can't. You have that happen over and over again. That's my that's my perspective of America. Everybody's got their, "I'm an American. I'm a patriot. I love my country." Well, my love for my country is rooted in boots on the ground, seeing it, smelling it, having good people do kind things for me over and over and over again. And that's why I am so deeply saddened by what's happening, because the whole idea of what America is just getting convoluted and bastardized, and it's all so sad. But I have, my foundation is these experiences that I've had that give me not just America, but humanity, mankind. If you have these, it's almost like if you expect that to happen, that will happen. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Good things will happen. But, then it makes me think, well, what about the things that bad things happen to good people? Well, that is a fact of life, and if that happens to you, my heart goes out to you, and I'm shocked I haven't been the recipient of anything like that to this point, but I haven't. So I guess my perspective is you're more likely to have a good experience than bad. If bad things happen, well, it's a roll of the dice, and it was your turn. But if you go into it thinking the best and assuming good things will happen, more times than not, it will. And if you go into a situation fearing people and thinking everyone's bad and there's evil around every corner, and that guy over there trying to rip you off, and that guy right there wants to hurt you, and that guy that girl over there is a lying little bitch. I mean, I hear people with their default attitudes are so negative. Of course, negative things are going to happen to you. But I've had the good fortune of going from somebody who was fearful and afraid to engage in the world to having the courage to even try these things, being inspired by artists who set the path, or in previous generations, go out and do stuff, go out and see the world. So when I had the courage and the naivety to being young to go do it and keep good things keep happening, well then how can I not want to do it more? And how can I not have a positive attitude about people? That's where
Mm.
that's where it comes from. Really, I've been conditioned to think people are good. You know?
By experience, by
Yeah,
repetitive experience.
yeah. So I'm at 7% right now, man. So I'm just to let you know, and my internet. So I'm on my phone, and my phone's leaned on my laptop, and my internet, my Wi-Fi is still not working. So
Well, I think I'm pretty sure we got this is going to work, and I will double
we
check the
just froze
footage.
up.
Obviously, here. Okay, it just updated.
Okay, you're unfrozen.
Okay, yeah, yeah. It's okay. I got a message here. It's updating you as we go, so don't worry.
Okay.
All right. Why don't we do this? Out of all your experiences, and I know there's a lot, and we could go further into this. What would you say is the one or two that have had the biggest impact on who you are today?
Okay. Wow. Picking one is tough. I'd say my character and my good heart is really been shaped by my mom. Having the mom that I had has really impacted who I am, and taking that open heart and I really think that hitchhiking across America on $20 and not having and having 33 different cars pull over and pick me up, and that, I mean, as weird as it sounds, to survive that, not just survive that, but to have some overwhelmingly positive experiences come from that. That was pretty huge, pretty huge. And then to be able to have this a similar experience biking across America and have that kind of thing happen over and over again. At 23 and 25, those kind of laid the foundation for A, I wanted adventure, and B, I wanted to trust people. And I knew that if I did trust people, most of the time I would be rewarded for that.
Mm. And that really fed your spirit of continuing to want to adventure and interact and your curiosity.
Yeah. And just hear people's stories and and have some one-on-one FaceTime engagement. Not this, I mean, even back then it was not even an option, but right now we have this false sense of engagement. I mean, it can feel good in the moment to engage in a Facebook comment thread and get all righteously
Yeah. Yeah.
angry, but there's no substitute for looking somebody in the eye and having a conversation with them, I think.
It's interesting, Bob. You said you wrote a number of screenplays, and so you had all this. You had a lot of experience as a Hollywood like screenwriter, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And for whatever reason, they got greenlit, and then didn't end up coming to completion. I wonder how much that that influences what's going on with green thumbs in some kind of way,
Why
you
it's
know?
not? Why I haven't got across the finish line yet?
Yeah,
Maybe.
and look, I also think things happen when things need to happen. I just wonder if there's some part of you that, because you've written so many screenplays and they weren't completed.
Though the screenplays were completed, the movies just didn't get made. No, I've
That's not what I
completed.
meant. No, that's not what I meant. Yeah, that the screen that the movies didn't get made. That's what I meant. Because
Yeah,
you already finished your screenplay. I mean,
yeah.
Green Thumbs is done. It was written. It was shot.
Shot, edited. No, there's a version out there. There's my ideal version. I sent it to you. You got it. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna start.
yeah. Yeah.
It's gonna start going around. I'm at 3% now. So if we get cut off,
All right.
that's what happened. My
All right.
phone.
Well,
Yeah.
then let's. You want to say anything before we wrap up? Do you think there's any truth to that, or is that? Am I just
I think
trying
there
to?
might be some subconscious fear of like I've been conditioned to think that my stuff is not worthy of getting done, and so now that I have one done, maybe subconsciously I'm self-sabotaging to keep it from happening. That is something that is worth exploring for sure. But I would like to think that is not the case.
Well, the other thing is, it's already done. It's done.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
right now and it has clearly come this far. It is will be distributed. It will be out there in
Yeah.
the festivals. I mean, it's happening.
The stage right now is I'm reaching out to a half a dozen music acts whose songs I want to get festival waivers for, so I can use their song as they submit to film festivals, and then when we sell it, then we pay them. But so that's where we are. That's the step we're at right now. So yeah, no, I'm sending it out. People are watching it. I'm getting feedback. So
Yeah, it's really good.
yeah,
I haven't finished the last viewing yet, but it
okay,
looks great. I love how
okay.
you started out the the cutting from her life here, their life
Yeah.
here, New York. It's awesome. All right, before we go, any final words? Anything you want to say to like if you were able to say anything to your younger self, what one piece of advice would you give?
My piece of advice would be that you can do this. You can do anything you set your mind to. And any doubt that you have is simply a result of people who didn't have the strength and courage and brain power that you did. You do. So I would tell that to anybody, not just my younger self. I would tell that to every kid in my music class. I would tell that to, my wife. I would tell that to my 80-year-old father-in-law who wants to write another book. Sure can do it. You can do it. Anything, I got a sign in the corner over here. It says, if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you're right. So I think I
Yes.
can. I think I'm a badass and can do a lot of things. And whatever I can't do, I can figure out how to do thanks to a YouTube tutorial video. So the world is my oyster.
Amen. Yes.
Amen. Joe, thanks,
That was a
man.
great place to wrap up, Bob. Thank you so much, man. I love you, dude. And we will we'll connect again soon, all right?